Welcome back into the Sports Source. This segment brought to you by Madisonville Marine. Pontoons, deck boats, fishing boats, however you like to spend your day on the lake, Madisonville Marine has the boat for you. Huge selection. I was out on the lake with a couple old friends. Here comes a name drop. Kent Bailey, Kevin Cantrell this weekend, and let me tell you, nothing beats the heat like getting out on an area lake in a boat. I guess getting out on an area lake in an airplane would really be silly, or a car. So you need a boat. Madisonville Marine is the place to go, madmarine.com to learn more. All right. Over at our YP board, the big Benedict Construction big board today, we have our defense. And yes, wow, somebody raced over there and changed out all the cards between segments. Let's very quickly in this segment, guys, talk about the 98 defense, which is in black on the left, the 01 defense, which is in brown in the center, and you see Mr. Overstreet as a starter there on that unbelievable defensive line. And then the orange is this year. Guys, if you're going to pick a place where there is the potential to match up with one of those other areas, I would go defensive line, and the only reason is this. You've got about, as you see there, 6 guys, 7 guys when you throw in Kongbo, 8 guys if Shai Tuttle comes back. You've got a lot of depth there, and I think you may have several of those guys make the league. If I'm picking a spot, that's where I go that may be able to match up with one of those other two. But again, I don't like any of these in terms of being better than 98 or 01. Thoughts? Anybody who wants to jump in there?
I think this linebacker group, excuse me, could be better than the 01 linebacker group. That's where I see the difference.
Okay.
That's the group that I like better than 01. Other than that, I think 01 and 98 both.
And my thing on the 98 is, and this is where it's changed again, we're talking about the spread and offense, and earlier we didn't have a fullback for this one. It's really a 4-2-5. So we're throwing Corte Sapp out there. You're really going to see Kirkland and Reeves-Maben.
Right.
So it's going to be 2 guys versus the 3 that you saw in 98 or 01 for the most part. Mike Strange.
The 98 linebackers, Al Wilson, but I liked Raynoch Thompson a whole lot. You could put Carrot Top as the 3rd linebacker, and I would still take them over.
I'm guessing Eric Westmoreland wouldn't like that comparison. But
no, I'm saying that Eric Westmoreland was good.
Yes, but you put him with those other 2. Yeah.
I would say defensive line would be better this year's against 98s because 98 did not have much depth at all. But 2001, I mean, we had 3rd-string guys that ended up playing for more than 6 years in the pros. So it remains to be seen if this team has that kind of depth, actually, at defensive line.
Right.
It has depth, but how
good
talented is that depth?
And see, simply because of that depth, that's why I think if you're looking at potential,
right.
For me, that's the one that could have potential. Mike Griffith.
Well, as much as Al meant, and I'd say if you put Al on the 2001 team, they would have won a national championship because he was that kind of leader. And we haven't really talked about those intangible things, but I think I wouldn't underestimate Deion Grant. Deion Grant, to me, was the most, of all these DBs, he was the most special guy. In fact, he actually talked with the team earlier this week and was in town, but I think Deion Grant was probably underrated and underappreciated. Talk about a guy that could play center field all by himself. He was amazing even in the league.
We got to throw a salute out to our old buddy here on the show, Fred White, out there too, because Fred would be mad if I didn't say his name.
What were you saying, Will, about where he would play now?
Nickel, he'd be a perfect nickel player in the pros and everywhere.
It's going to be interesting to look at that secondary for Tennessee. If you keep it up there for a second, Cam Sutton clearly is going to be an NFL guy. Emmanuel Mosley, the coaches were very high on him. He had a bad start to last season, and I don't think he ever regained his confidence. But Todd Kelly has been a guy that the football finds him. I mean, so far he hasn't been a starter, but the ball finds him. Rashawn Golden, someone that everyone is very high on. That secondary could look a lot better. You know, if you want to do the whole get back to me in 2019 thing, that secondary may be the ones to come back to it. All right, mark it down. We'll be here 2019. All right. When we come back, what can we learn from this 98 and 01 teams? You don't want to miss this. There are always stumbles. There are always close calls. For those folks thinking, you'll beat this team and that team, 11-0, 12-0. You better come back and watch this next segment. All right.